Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. We're gonna let everyone in. We can still have a few more people coming in from the waiting room and we'll get started. If you were looking for information on the mentorship program and how to find the right fit with a mentor or mentee, you are in the right spot. I tell people all the time on a moment by moment basis, sometimes I need confirmation that I'm in the right meeting at the right time in the right place. So if that's what you intended to be, you are in the right spot. So thanks for joining us this evening. My name is Susan Arnold Christian. I work full-time for SHIP. I work out of Kansas City, Missouri. I have worked for full-time for SHIP for just about 3 years, but I worked with SHIP students at 2 universities for about 20 years. And I met my very first group of SHIP-Teenus back in the late 90s in Kansas City. And so just very blessed and happy to be working with SHIP in this capacity, and specifically with this program as well, something that's really near and dear to my heart, the concept of mentoring. So we're just so glad that you took the time to join us tonight. And we're going to get started and get going. We are recording this and we'll be sharing this out on our YouTube channel. So feel free to send private messages if you want to keep chats private. I'll introduce our panel so you kind of know who you're posting messages to, and or you can feel free to post in the chat. We will have a time where you can unmute your microphone and engage in that way too if you'd like to, but just wanted to make everyone aware that we were recording and putting it on YouTube for others to see as well as a resource. So this is kind of what we're going to do here in this next little bit together. Again, we're just talking about the topic of how to find the right fit with a mentor-mentee connection. We're going to do a quick meet and greet in the chat if you'd like to engage in that. We're going to talk a little bit about our national mentorship program and just our mentorship in general at SHIP. We've got a great panel discussion lined up. I'm excited for you to hear from them. And then we've got a time where, again, you can open your mic or throw in the chat any questions you'd like to ask. And then I've got some next steps for you all as we wrap up the event as well. So in the chat, if you would like to just throw an intro in there. Who are you? Where are you from? Where are you joining from? Are you a student member, a professional member of SHIP? Is this your first SHIP event? Whatever you want to post in there. If you've participated in our mentorship program before, which track? Some people have different tracks and we'll talk about those, but anything you'd like to throw in the chat just to kind of meet and greet and welcome each other. Thanks, Antonina. Anybody else want to throw some intros in the chat? Feel free. Use this time to network. I love when I see people posting their LinkedIn. If you want to connect with others, it's a great way to potentially meet a new mentee, mentor in this space as well. So thanks for those of you throwing those intros in the chat. While you guys keep doing that, I want to just give you a quick overview of the mentorship program. And what I want to say first off the bat is mentorship really began at the chapter level. We just started doing the national virtual mentorship programs just a few years ago, but mentorship has lived for a long time. That was one of my very first connections with SHIP at the chapter level. So if you are a SHIP member and you are engaged with your university chapter or your professional chapter, make sure to reach out to your regional leaders and your chapter leaders to find out what they're doing in that space regarding mentoring. A lot of them are doing in-person mentoring programs. We're going to focus more on this event, our mentorship program at the national level. And so we do have a platform. That QR code will take you to our platform where you can sign up to be a mentor, a mentee, or both if you haven't participated in that yet. We do have multiple tracks in the program, and I'll describe those to you here in a minute. These are one-on-one virtual mentorship connections. The timing just really depends on the track and kind of what your schedule will allow you to do. It is very flexible for what you need and what kind of time commitment that you have. Connections, like how the connections also vary, how they happen, and I'll describe those on the next slide to you. So there's a lot of variety there. And our participants come from all stages, from undergraduate up through professional members in the virtual platform. At this time, we just don't have the capacity to do any high school or younger mentees. It would take some background checks and things like that we just don't have the capacity for at SHIP right now, but that is a goal for the future and something we've been talking about and working towards. A lot of our chapters do programs in person with some of those with school districts and things. So again, reach out to your chapters if you're interested in that kind of mentor-mentee connection. And our philosophy really is that this is mentee driven and managed, and the mentor is supporting. And we'll talk some about that during the discussion. If you have questions about that, feel free to throw questions in the chat. And the connections are very focused on the mentee goals. And we have some tools in the program to help mentees really focus on crafting and drafting and editing their goals as they go through this. But that's really kind of just a general overview of what the program is about. So I said that there are multiple tracks, and you can kind of see the listing here. We have a general mentorship track that's open to, like I said, everybody from the undergrad all the way through professionals. That is designed to be a 3-month long connection, or as long as you want it. We have some people who connect for a month and a half and get their goals done, and some people have been connected for over a year, so you can make that flexible for what you want. We also have a mentoring moment track that is designed to be just a one-time connection. Maybe you just have one question or one thing you want to connect with. And then we do have a separate track for just our professional members who want to connect in that space. And you can see here that in all these tracks, the mentor can certainly offer a connection as you get in there and you do your profile. The mentee actually has to be the one to accept the offer, and a mentee can also initiate a connection request anytime. So again, very much driven by the mentee. And connections can start at any time in those tracks. So you could go in there tonight if you haven't ever done a profile before, and go do a profile and start shopping for a mentor or mentee right away. These other tracks that we have here, some of these are more cohort driven. We've got our Future Grads program that is for people who are wanting to have a mentor to help walk them through the graduate school application process. We only currently offer that track in the fall, and there is a limited number of mentors and mentee spots, so that is on an application basis. And then we also do something similar for our chapter leaders, our new presidents and vice presidents at our chapters. And then we start the connections, the administrators do the connections, and they kind of start at the same time there. In all of these tracks, there's an algorithm for this matching process, and it's based off of the profile that you put in the app. And I will tell you that the majority of what's used in all of these programs is a big long list of what does a mentee want to talk about? What are some of your goals? What are some of the skills that you want to talk with a mentor about? And then for the mentors, what are some of the experiences and things that you have to offer? And the system is looking for some good matches on what you want to talk about, what some of your goals are. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to go and find great mentor connections. I will at the end, we have some other resources for mentorship, the virtual program as well. But I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what do we offer at the mentorship virtual programs right now. And I will send this recording and the slides out for you all so you can have those QR codes as well. So with that, I want to jump us right in and give the most time to our panel here. And I'd love for you all, we can kind of just go in order of your lovely photographs here. And if you all wouldn't mind just taking a moment to give us an introduction to yourself, and then we'll jump into some of the questions.
All right, I'll go first. Good evening, everyone. Carlos Avila here, saying hi to you all from San Diego, California. I've am a civil engineer by education, by career. I've been at Rick Engineering. We're a consulting firm covering the western part of the United States. I've been with one company my whole career. And, maybe in another occasion, I could tell you all the reasons why I've stayed at one place. But on the mentorship side of things, I was first generation college attendee. In fact, not many people in my family even graduated from high school. Mexican immigrants, we grew up in the border between Tijuana and San Diego, but I was fortunate enough to go to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, studied civil and environmental engineering, and started my career here in San Diego. So mentorship, because of the lack of mentors and role models I had growing up, is just dear in my heart. I took advantage of quite a bit of mentorship opportunities when I was in high school that it's keeping me, 22 years later, 20, I've been a practicing civil engineer for 22 years. It has me, engaged and more energized than ever, just, looking for ways to pay back. So locally for SHIP, I serve as the director of mentorship. I launched a similar, that's how Susan and I first connected and met. She helped me with some tidbits to launch our program here with the San Diego professional chapter. And I am also a mentee in the professional mentorship track that Susan is, graciously here organizing and running for us. I found a mentor who's about my age, a few years younger in career, but he's Joshua Salazar in Michigan. He just has great qualities, and we'll get more into detail later, but he's got qualities that where I need some improvement. So it was like literally the perfect match. So thank you all.
Thanks for
Happy to be
joining us,
here.
Carlos.
Mhm.
Antonina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Antonina Robles. I'm based in Boise, Idaho. I work for HP. I also been here for the only one company that I've been with for 24 years. Throughout HP, I also been really involved with SHEP. I started as a freshman. I was president, regional, national student rep, and first gens. I'm the third oldest of six, so I was the first one in my family to go to college. So as the first gen, we all know all the different difficulties that we have to go through. And I didn't really know, I would say, much about mentors, but I would say through SHEP, I gained a lot of mentors, informal mentors. And then I have participated to being a mentor, and I'm also a mentee. So I've been in both sides. So I've really benefited, and we will go more into that. But for HP, I'm a global program manager. I worked on the LaserJet business for 22 years, and then 2 years ago, I moved into HR. I'm currently leading a program that helps experienced professional return back to the workforce.
Thank you so much. David.
Hey guys, David Boone coming to you from Washington, D.C. Also been with one company my whole career of almost 4 years. So coming up on my 4 years with Accenture, I'm in their federal practice. I'm working as a software engineering consultant with them with different federal clients. Soy peruano, proud Peruvian. My mother came to the United States when she was 26, so it's kind of surreal because I just turned 26 a few months ago. So like I'm the same age when she like uprooted her whole life and came to the US and started her life here. I got involved with SHIP when I was a freshman, and it really changed a lot of things for me. Just like opening my eyes to like the familia that reached nationwide, and in my region, Region 4. Went to the University of Maryland, so was involved with their local university chapter. I also ended up serving a year on the National Board of Directors as the undergraduate representative. And after I graduated in 2020, I was the vice president of the SHIP DC professional chapter for 2 years. So have love staying involved with SHIP. I've been a SHIP mentorship program mentor for a few semesters. But especially after I graduated, I tried to do one a semester just to give back and meet some awesome, promising young people, which all of you guys are here. So really excited to share advice and see how we can help you guys.
Wonderful. What I want to say to all of you participants who joined in, this is your time. This is your time to get your questions answered. We want to make sure that you walk away with the answers that we can provide to the questions that you had. We did take a look through the questions that you posted on your RSVP, and we have a small little sublet of questions of some trends and things that we saw. But then again, just be thinking, we are definitely going to give you all time to open up your mic, throw in the chat, however you want to engage, to just have a discussion here and get your questions answered. But I'm going to kick us off with just a little bit of information as we were kind of the panel members and I talking about some of the trends of questions. This was one topic that we really kind of saw coming out as like, what do you look for? Like, what are the qualities of a good mentee, a good mentor? I bet you could probably do some Google searches, some talks with others who've participated in programs. These are pretty common, like the top 5, kind of things that you're looking for in a good mentee or good mentor. But it's also kind of dependent on what you're looking for too. So I'd love to hear the panel members' reflections on these lists. Maybe you have some stories about some times that you either saw these demonstrated or you yourself engaged in some of these qualities. Any advice that you have for the mentees, mentors, as they're kind of thinking about this and absorbing this. And what I do personally believe about whatever the list is that looks like for you, they need to be elements that build trust, right? This is a relationship. And so thinking about what can I bring to the table? What am I communicating with my mentee, mentor, partner that is really building trust in this relationship? So let's start with David. I would love to hear just some of your reflections on this list, things that you've seen, additions, maybe something that's not on here that you think should be on here.
Yeah, I'll just call out one that's important, and it's the one that you'll see on both sides. It's commitment. On the mentee side, it's commitment and accountability. On the mentor side, it's commitment and availability. I just say, like you said, Susan, a lot of this is kind of broad advice that you can Google and find, but I really want to drive home this one where on the mentee side, I'd say it's really important that you come to these meetings and you come to the relationship with your mentor with a commitment and something that's actionable, kind of some goal that you're reaching towards that the mentor can help you with. On the mentor side, and what all of us do and everyone in the mentorship program as a whole strive for is obviously being available with your time, being present with the time that the mentee takes to set up with you, and being able to communicate with you and work through different action items. So like for me and my approach with that is I really like to take different goals and priorities that my mentees come with, like if whether they're trying to get a full-time job, whether they're trying to get an internship, just work on their resume, maybe improve a cover letter, or like overall maybe just wanting to be able to network more. It's something that we can track towards and figure out how we can make progress bi-weekly or monthly or whatever the cadence is that we set. So back to the mentee side, and this is kind of where the accountability comes in. I'd say it's important that you're receptive to that feedback. And you take the advice of your mentor and try to work through the things every couple weeks. So when you come to your meetings or phone calls or whatever way you guys want to communicate, you're able to say, hey, I tried this didn't quite work, or hey, I made some progress here but need some help. Instead of just being like, oh shoot, I completely didn't do the thing that we talked about in the last meeting, and you rehash the thing again. So it's being making sure you're putting the time to good use and then doing your homework, quote unquote, and coming to the next meetings prepared.
Awesome. Great advice. Antonina, what about you? What's kind of your reflections when you look at this or think about this?
I think the main thing, and it's understanding why do I want to mentor or why do I want to be a mentor, right? I know that one time I was seeking help because I wanted to improve my communication. So I got a mentor to help me to improve my communication. I was looking for help with slides when they were like the new thing, right? And then a few years later, I was looking for a mentor because I switched from being a firmware engineer into more of the quality, into something different. So I wanted to learn more about program management. So I seek help, from somebody that I thought would be a great mentor. But the key here, I think, is one, you need to know your goal. Like, why do you want a mentor? Why do you need a mentor? But number two, and I think it's critical to make to make it work, is that you need to build rapport, like a relationship first, because then it becomes like awkward. Because especially when you've never seen this person, and one of my mentees that I had through SHEP, through the mentorship, I think he was my first one. He did a really good job on laying down a foundation of ways that I could connect with him. He was burnable with me, right? But he was also really good. He came prepared. Like, this is what I want. I need help. And it was interesting because every meeting he had like an agenda, and then he had me review. So that was really good. So two things: know the objective, like why do you want a mentor? And number two, it's not a transaction. If it becomes a transaction, then it's really weird. But if you build like a relationship, then it's really good.
Thank you. Carlos, how about you?
So, agree on all those points that David and Tonina shared. I think for me, a mentor is a resource. It's a facilitator. It's someone who's accessible. I think that those qualities, I think, are non-negotiable. If you are seeking someone or trying to, establish a mentorship relationship with someone and they can't meet that, I would say look for somebody else. So again, a resource, a facilitator, and within reason, available, right? Because the need for a mentor changes and evolves. It evolves throughout your career, throughout your life. A mentor, in my opinion, is not a coach. It's not someone who's going to maybe show you how to do something. Those individuals are very important, especially in your early career, and definitely like within your field, your industry, your expertise, or if you're trying to go into academia, like it's that advisor, kind of like a sponsor, an advisor, a sponsor, a role model for technical things. Those individuals are important. A mentor is different. A mentor, in my opinion, is again someone who is going to guide you or is going to find the resource that you are seeking, or so 100% on the trust factor there, Antonina. And I'll just share a super quick story. I started my career right out of college, got married, and then my wife and I started a family like really young. We were 23, 24 years old. You can imagine starting career and raising a family all at once. So for me, in those first, 5 to 7 years, I probably didn't have time. I didn't have time to seek a mentor, to be honest with you, but I found many role models. People would keep me motivated. People would keep me engaged, focused on the right things. And a lot of that just evolved around family, Frank, just life, stress, financial, all that stuff. And then I had my go-to people who would like show me the ropes, if you will, so I could climb in my career. But then I got to a point where, okay, now what? Right? The foundation's there, and you got to kind of take this to the next level. That's when I started seeking resources, and that's, I think, where the mentorship is crucial.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that story too. I think that's pretty common for a lot of us. There's some things I think I heard you all say in here, and one of the pieces, and I think it may have been Carlos that said this about, kind of like determining the availability through the app that we use for our mentoring program. If you are someone who's like, I don't even know what I don't know what to ask a mentor, I don't know what this kind of looks like, this is a good first step starting place. The system, if you really want to follow it, it's going to kind of guide you through week 1, week 2, week 3. It's going to send you prompts and reminders. But I want to just hit on something here. If you find that someone isn't a good availability connection or a good connection right now, doesn't mean it won't be a good connection later. And so one of the things that the system does is kind of coach people through how to have those conversations when you need to end a connection in a healthy way, right? I have connected with people in my mentoring relationships that I thought was going to be a great connection at one point. I kind of had to put a pause on it, but later we came back and like, okay, now is the right time. So be thinking about that as well, that it is a small world in mentoring.
Yes, and one thing that since you brought that up, I think there's like two different kinds of mentoring. There's the structure mentoring where you're like, like like the Chef Connects, right? Where this week I need to talk to my mentee about setting goals. This week we need to talk about blah blah blah. And this week, so it's a structure, which I strongly recommend. If you never had a mentor, I strongly believe that that's the first thing you should do. Probably a structure mentoring program is the best option for you. But there's also the ad hoc, like for me, like when I was talking about the program management, I was like, oh, who do I admire? Who is highly respected? Who has like really good program? Like it was on me. So nobody was telling me like, you need to talk to him about this. Like, I drove that conversation. So just to keep in mind that there's structured mentorship and there's unstructured mentorship.
I love that too. And yeah, you grow through it, right? As you do different mentoring experiences, you grow in those skills and you learn some of those lessons. So thanks for taking time to just kind of think that through. Here's kind of the next top 4 questions that came out through some of what you all were posting. And again, feel free at any time to throw a question in the chat that you want us to consider. But we're going to kind of talk through some of these questions and see what you all throw in the chat, and then we'll definitely give some time for you all to open up your mics too. So let's start with this first question, this concept of like finding the perfect fit, right? I hear this a lot. I'll have people that will schedule a one-on-one time with me to help them kind of go through. We have over 2,000 people in the online program. And so sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. You're like, how do I find the right person? And I'll hear people say, okay, I'm doing civil engineering and I need to find somebody in civil engineering who's working in water, and they've been working for 5 to 10 years, and they're in this time zone and they're working for this company. And you can certainly sometimes find that in that list of 2,000 something people. But is that the right approach? What do you all think? And I'm just going to let you guys kind of go here. So whoever wants to chime in first. Antonina, David, and Carlos, feel free.
I'll go first. It's hard to define what a bad move is when seeking a mentor. I mean, the fact that you're even thinking about reaching out to a mentor is already, that puts you like way ahead of just so many other people. I would say to diversify, to Susan's point earlier, someone who you may strike, it could be one of us, by the way. I've shared my LinkedIn profile there. Feel free to reach out. Like I may be able to facilitate some things now and then, but get to a point where, I'll find another resource for you, but down the line in the future or vice versa, you just never know how a relationship may go in the future. But I would say to that the best advice I give is to just diversify, seek different types of mentors for different stages in your life, for different goals that you have in mind, whether it's educational goals that you have or whether they're, nuts and bolts technical, then you definitely want to reach out to someone who's in your field. If you're just looking for overall, networking, public speaking, presentation skills. In my case, I had to seek someone who was just very good at organizational leadership, so that's a skill that's just very hard to acquire. So That's my advice there, is just
So
seek
a little bit of a
different
depend.
types of mentors. Not one person is going to be able to fulfill everything that you seek.
Because
I
no
think-
one's perfect, right?
Right.
I wish I could like, yeah, I think nobody's perfect. And I think it's okay if along the way you don't connect with somebody. I told the story, but I was looking for a female Latina, like I had all this like wants and this is what I want in a mentor, right? And I had my manager actually help me find it. But when we met, we just didn't click. Like it just didn't like happen. I know it was just one meeting, but it's just like we didn't connect. I don't know if it was me, it was her, it just didn't work. Maybe I was like still too young, but it's okay. Like maybe you're not gonna find it on the first try, so keep looking. And like Carlos said, is like, what is the objective? Like, I mean, I've seek for communication, program management. When I was gonna move to HR, I saw a mentor from HR. And so it's like depending on what you need. And I heard this from a colleague. It's like kind of having like a board of directors, right? Like you maybe want a mentor for communication skills, maybe one for leadership, maybe one for your learning how to manage your finances. So that's why there's no one size fits all, because you have to find one according to what are your needs. And then maybe I think also sometimes has to be is like having that somebody that you can relate to. I think that what makes it like a successful mentorship, mentee mentorship.
Yeah, and I would just add being open to well, I mean, just finding even basic common similarities go a long way. If you're looking for like the perfect fit in the sense of the same company, the same role, the specific part in their career, industries are broad. And I mean, a lot of the way that a corporate America is structured is similar across different companies. So, I mean, if you find someone that's in your field or maybe at least graduated from the same major, or maybe you guys just went to the same college, that same approach of like how they approached getting that full-time job, if you guys really connect and have that relationship, which like we talked about is one of the most important things of the relationship to begin with, can go a long way, because their advice is very applicable to your situation, even though it's not exactly the same path as you, because we all have very different paths. And when I would say once you progress from maybe in college and then you're full-time and a professional now, it's certainly easier. I'd say if there's people that you admire in your company, like my approach has always been, okay, whose job do I want? Like whose job, like who's doing exactly what I want to be doing in maybe 5 years? Who are the leaders that have been at the company for 20 plus years that I really look up to, and I can see myself in their jobs later down the road. I'd say that's probably more like the perfect fit mentors that you can find. And if you connect with them, you know, that's kind of a huge green flag in moving forward in trying to get their mentorship. But especially like starting out when you're early on, finding good common similarities that you have can lay the foundation for a great mentorship.
Yeah. And I think when you approach too as a mentee, a mentor, and you're saying, I saw your profile, I want to connect with you, and you're saying all of these things that really like kind of define that perfect fit. Sometimes in the way that you word that, it can come across a little bit like you're job hunting, which is not what a mentor is for. They can certainly help you think through that, but it's not about getting a job, right? It's about connecting with someone and working on your goals. And so that kind of leads us into the next question, this concept, and a lot of you wrote these on your RSVP, like, I don't even kind of really know what to talk to a mentor about. I don't really know what my goals should be. What are some of your examples and stories of your mentoring and mentee connections, panel members, about what should my goals be for connecting with a mentor mentee? What should that look like?
I think it's going to depend again, why are you looking for a mentor, right? Are you looking for a mentor so that you can land on your next career? Like, are you a college student looking for somebody to tell you the ins and outs, how corporate recruits? Or are you looking to improve your interviewing skills? So I think it really will depend on what the mentee is looking for. But I would say like the initial meeting, just relax and get to know each other. And then at least that's my approach. Like I want to get to know who you are, where you from, what do you do? So I want to see how can we relate, and then okay, and understand, okay, what are you trying, how can I help them, right? What can I teach you and help you? So understand, okay, what are you trying to accomplish with this? So that would be the first thing, is trying to understand what are they looking for. And honestly, as a mentor, I've recommended my mentees, if they're looking for, let's say they're looking for a lot of different things and I'm really good at one, I will mentor them on that thing that I'm really one. But then I'll say, hey, you should go talk to Emily because Emily is really good at XYZ, right? So I think that's the other thing about being a mentor, is like opening our doors to like networking with either other colleagues. Again, it depends on the situation. Like if I mentor on Mentor Connect, it's different because the student is over like across the state. But if I'm mentoring within my work, I'm able to connect them with other colleagues and whatnot.
Using your network, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, when you, especially when you start on a mentorship relationship, you want to outline your goals. But I guess to be more specific or to answer the question, I'll just give you some samples of some potential things you may want to seek. The obvious ones, of course, are related to your resume, interview, things like that. But more effective ones, I think, is, for example, how to ask for a raise, how to just even approach the conversation, how to evaluate, like self-evaluation. How do you know, like, whether you're on the right track or not? And then from there, all sorts of other stuff spawns off. Like, do you enjoy what you do? Are you in the field you want? Like, what are the barriers that are preventing you from maybe getting to where you think you should be? So a lot of like self-assessment type stuff. And then that basically leads the mentoring to basically, selling your strengths, right? And then working on improving your weaknesses. Another one that I think a lot of people overlook is how to seek feedback, how to approach, how and when to seek like an informal evaluation. It's like, hey, I just want to make sure I'm on the right track, whether it's your supervisor or colleagues or somebody, on a team. Just how to just break the ice about your performance, rather than being reactive or being, strange about it. Conflict resolution is, again, all sorts of things that you could explore there, team building, or how to manage others' expectations if you're in a role where you're delegating to others and checking in. I think those are some
Thanks. Those are
highlights
great
there.
examples. Yeah.
Yeah, I can add just as another example, one of my mentee relationships that has started with the mentorship program kind of started as, the classic senior looking for a job, wanting some help on getting established and resume, connecting with companies. And then it kind of evolved into another goal, which was like finances. It's funny, like even last week, this was a mentee that I probably mentored a year and a half ago. Was like texting me again, like, hey, like had a question about like, Roth IRA. And kind of what happened was, after the first kind of segment of like, all right, getting a job, securing it, negotiating, it then became, okay, I want to like establish my finances. Like, where do I start? And I think especially in the Hispanic community, just like overall, like financial literacy not being taught in schools is tough, and seeking mentors is really important for that. So just like figuring out like how to build credit, like how many credit cards should I have? Like why should I even have a credit card? What's a Roth IRA? Like retirement accounts. When I eventually do start my full-time job, what are like ESPPs, which are, different employee stock plans? employee matching, making sure you're capitalizing on that stuff. So there's tips that a lot of undergrads don't think about because they're not directly taught, which is a whole other conversation. But that's another great goal that I think that I've utilized with recent grads and undergrads as well.
Thanks for sharing all of those. I think those are really good. And I'll just put a little teaser in here that you guys are the first to hear. In the next month, we're going to start a new financial literacy program. And if you have not heard of Giovanna Gonzalez, Cultura and Cash, the author of that book, she will be leading some sessions for that. But I think it goes back to even like just some of these topics and examples that they're giving here. For those of you who are listening in, I've even seen some great connections say, I have to draft up some SMART goals, and I've never done that before. And like just the process of goal setting can in fact be a goal that you can walk through with a mentor. And there are some tools and resources as you go through the connection plan on mentorship that will help you walk through that. Carlos, you started to allude to in one of your earlier conversations about this difference between networking, mentorship, sponsorship. Any of you kind of want to pitch in on like some examples to kind of give some concrete examples of like, what does this look like? What does this feel like? What are these differences in these examples here?
Yeah, I'd say I can speak to kind of networking versus mentorship. I would say networking can be definitely way more informal. Networking is maybe you're looking to get connected with somebody else, or you just want to learn about someone's experience, gather some insights from them. But I think mentorship kind of takes it to another level. And especially like in the context of the mentorship program, like you have the opportunity to develop these deeper relationships, which are mentorships, with a mentor who can give you, feedback, can give you actionable items to help you reach certain goals. And I feel like it shouldn't really be confused necessarily with networking, where you just have an ad hoc or offhand conversation with someone that you meet, you get to know them, their experience, but it kind of really doesn't go beyond that. Networking is obviously super important because networking can expose you to a lot of different people. Networking can help you meet people that you never thought that would be in your network before. But mentorship, I think, really takes it to another level, and a way that SHIP really helps, prepare people that are young professionals all the way up through later professionals, and especially undergraduate people, and just developing deeper, solid, very impactful relationships.
Yeah.
I think that
No. Go ahead, Antonia. Mhm.
I was gonna speak about like sponsorship, and I know sponsorship was something that I was not honestly aware of. The only reason I became interested, or the reason I had a sponsor, is it was through a program that HP had for minorities, right? Because that's not something that we normally think about it. So the biggest difference between like a mentor and a sponsor, think of a mentor as somebody normally is any level, usually like 1, 2, 3 levels above you. But a sponsor is normally somebody that is at an executive position, right? So it's somebody that has influence, it has a position to advocate for you. So a mentor provides advice and develops you, but a sponsor is to open doors and advocate for you, right? Like when you're not around, maybe he's the one that if you're applying for a role, like he can put that word and he has that influence. And so through the sponsorship program, like I was paired with an executive, a female executive, which was like really good. Honestly, it did open. It just turned out that we were working on she was in marketing, I was in quality. And so I would talk to her about like some of the things and she would open doors for me. It's amazing what like an executive, everybody listens to executive, let's just put it that way. So I think it's important for us as you start into your corporate career is to seek those sponsorship who can like how to say, take you under their wing.
Yeah, I'm gonna. That's great, Antonia. I'd loved every bit of your comments there. It hit home a little bit. I'll share a story. I'll answer this question and give you some insight with a story. It's 100% factual. So my friend, right, my close friend out at Ricardo Roman is his name. Rick, I call him. He's a CFO. I met him, actually, my wife met his wife because our kids were in the same elementary school. So when I was introduced to him, and I'm not sure, Susan, if we're going to touch on this later, but basically I seeked him for the networking potential. I saw like, okay, how can I leverage this relationship to my benefit, right? 100% selfish. Rick was new. He's from Detroit, worked in New York. He was new to San Diego. I knew he didn't know anyone. So I'm like, okay, I could become his friend and introduce him to people. He could help me introduce um, uh, me to some of his network because they were launching a bunch of family health centers. He's a CFO for a community-based clinics. They've got like 80 clinics here in Southern California. So I was purely focused on like professional networking so I could get work, consulting work out of it. And over time, our families became friends, our kids became friends. We played soccer together. And Rick became more of a friend than a mentor or a professional network. In fact, he was very guarded. He didn't like, I don't think he wanted the same things that I wanted in our relationship. He was just looking for a friend, to be honest with you. I was looking for like, how could I exploit this networking opportunity, right? So over time, Rick has become like a very good mentor for me, like almost like a sponsor, even though he's in the financial sector. I'm a civil engineer, but he advocates for me, like you said, Antonina. I even get goosebumps talking about it. He advocates for me by challenging me. Like he advocates for me. He forces me to advocate for myself is the way he is, I think, sponsoring me. He like pushes me to, you know, basically chase everything you think you deserve. And so he's just been a great, I call him a sponsor. We've known each other 10 years. So to our earlier points about how you never know how a relationship is going to start and what it's going to evolve to. And then I think he is now, my son is in freshman in college. He's become my son's mentor more on like the academic and career advice type stuff. My son's Abraham. I go, Abraham, just call Rick and ask him, have him check your LinkedIn account or your resume. Like, so he's now kind of mentoring my son on that level, but he and I just became, just very close friends. So I hope it
I
wasn't too
love that.
long-winded, but it's just a
Yeah.
lot of
It's a
examples
great
in there.
example of how the relationships can evolve too. So thanks for sharing that. I'm going to put a pause on question number 4 because I really want people to be able to, if they would like to unmute their microphone, ask a question. Feel free to raise your hand if you've got a question that's just been burning, and we'll put a pause on that question. Maybe we'll come back to it. Maybe we won't. We'll see what questions you all have, or if you have one in the chat. I'm going to review a little bit chat because I know sometimes people can't see the chat if you're driving or traveling. Someone did ask if it was necessary to be a SHIP member to get into our mentorship program. At this time, it is not. And so you can go to ship.cronus.com and you can sign up. We will lovingly invite you into the SHIP Familia fold, lots of different ways, but you can sign up there today. You could go sign up. It takes about 10 minutes to do a profile, start shopping for a mentor and mentee and connect. So if anybody has any questions, again, we really want to make sure that you have any questions that you had. So feel free, throw up your hand, unmute your mic. Let's hear from you all, participants.
Hi, good evening, everyone,
Hello.
or to people who are in the West Coast. I did have a question. So I am very well aware that you have years of experience under your belt. So I'm assuming that you are much more responsible and hold yourselves accountable much more compared to where you were probably in my place on, for example, job hunting. And so uh well I guess my job hunting hasn't gone so well. And so uh what are some ways that you've um or some methods that you have tried to keep yourself accountable and I guess not give up, I guess is the word I'm trying to use. I'm not sure. Or lose hope. And y- yeah, that was my question.
Thank you.
How did you
So
learn? How did you go through that? How was that process for you to keep yourself accountable consistently? And yes.
great
I
question.
I think it's to hearing stories, right? Like I can tell you, I often have students set up meetings with me via LinkedIn. Like, hey, I heard about you. Would you mind like meeting? And so I'm not their mentor, but they want like a one-time meeting with me to talk about different things, right? And so I was talking to a student yesterday, and I told him like there were times when I wanted to quit school, right? I was the first one. Idaho is not very diverse. I didn't see many people like me, female only two. There was only other young woman in the engineering. So there were times when I wanted to quit. That's no lie, especially when I failed one class. But it was through Shep that I found like the inspirational stories. Like I would go to conventions and they just kept me motivated. Like I can't quit. Obviously, I thought I was doing it for my parents, but it turned out that I was the one that benefited the most. But that was my motivation. Like I'm doing this for my parents and all of that, right? So I think find your motivations, connect to Shep if you're not engaged, and then connect with people via LinkedIn. Like that's what people do. It's like they ask for feedback or advice. Like, hey, I applied for this role. What are the things that HP is looking for? Like, hey, this is my major. Like, I just provide some tips on them. So don't lose hope. I tell my daughters, I didn't mention this, but I have 5 daughters, and I tell them just keep swimming. If you haven't watched Nemo, watch it. Just keep swimming because there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I said strength are the numbers. Ship, we know we're all here because it has helped us all, community, familia, keep putting yourself out there. I was looking at the chat. I was trying to figure out where you were in the state, but if you have access to a, professional chapter, which I want to believe you do, go to the GBMs, don't miss one. It's only once a month. Participate in a committee, see if there's, while you're job hunting, see if there's an opportunity for you to join a committee, lead it, preferably. Those are all ways that you could start setting yourself apart. Meanwhile, meeting people, getting, sharing your story. You definitely don't need to, lose hope or sell yourself short. But the more people hear your story, the more people get to know you, hear who you are and hear what you aspire to, then that just opens up that many more opportunities. Yeah, that's probably my best advice.
Thanks for sharing that,
Yeah.
David. How about you?
And yeah, I just add that I definitely think those in-person relations, like especially like job hunting, at school, like those in-person relationships, companies that are doing workshops on campus, even though it can be a little uncomfortable to get out of your comfort zone, those are really some of like the best opportunities. And it's interesting, like even at my company, if you aren't coming to those events on campus and like meeting with those recruiters, meeting with the business representatives, like you almost have no shot. Just like if you're cold applying online, or if you're by that I mean you're just applying and not really interacting with anybody, networking with anybody in the company. But like if you're going to those events in person, you're meeting people, like they said, having people know your story and get to know you personally, you'll have your chances will go up a lot more because you would have built kind of the foundation on which people want to bring you on board. I'll say a story for mine is I remember when I was looking for my first internship, I went to the career fair that they had on campus at University of Maryland. It was the engineering specific career fair. Probably like 15 to 20 companies, and there's like it was held in this building with a big rotunda. So everybody was like in a table, and then there was like one more line down the hall. I had no work experience before that, so I literally went to every table around the entire rotunda, just nose all around, just like like we don't think this is a good fit so far, like try again next year. And then I saw like that last table like kind of down the way, and I had probably gotten like 12 13 rejections so far. Pushed myself. I was like, okay, one more. And I talked to that person, and he ended up being a former ship member at University of Maryland, like 30 or like 25 years prior to that. And he was like, oh, like I see that you're involved, in ship. I'd love to bring you in for an interview. Like love the initiative and leadership that you're trying to show in your small local chapter. And that started one of my first mentorships in college. And I ended up getting that internship. And that kind of, experiences like that build the building blocks for you to get more. So don't give up, don't lose hope. Echoing what everybody else said.
Yeah. I think
Jose,
too,
you're
Jose,
a mechanical engineering student, graduate?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Send me a message on LinkedIn. I've got the perfect person to talk to. His name's Jaime Cervantes. He's also a mechanical engineer. He works at Northrop Grumman. He started his career about 18 months ago, but he's a great mentor to students,
Okay, thank
young
you.
young and old. In fact, he teaches me things every
I
now
will
and then
say
as
what
well.
Jose did too is a perfect example of what you need to do with your mentors when you're reaching out to connect with someone. I know it's tough to be vulnerable, but what you did just there by sharing, like, these are some of my struggles, sharing that with a potential mentor, we've all been there. We can all relate to that. And so thanks for being vulnerable, and just keep doing that. Someone else posted in the chat, that they've just really been struggling with the platform and really trying to get people. This is my takeaway from what you're saying, Alyssa, to respond and stand out as a mentee. Do you all have any recommendations for that? I have one, and there's going to be a link on the next slide. You can actually schedule a one-on-one time with me, and I will take time to actually walk you through, and we'll look at what you're looking for, and I can help you reach out to mentors. And do that initial kind of introduction. So please take me up on that. That's what I'm here for. So I'm going to share that. But panel members, do you have any recommendations, as you all have been in that platform? Any recommendations for doing this?
Alyssa, I was going to say the same thing. Reach out to Susan. That's what I did. I found the platform also. It's just there's so many options. I try to kind of blindly, and in my situation it was unique because so many years of experience. I was actually wanted to be someone's mentee, so I knew right off the bat it was going to be difficult. But I wasn't getting anywhere, and I reached out to Susan, and you helped me find Joshua. So kind of skipped a few steps there. Yeah, but I do know, and Susan, I'm sure you have more details, but there's tutorials, right? Or I think there's some videos on how to.
Yeah, there's a short tutorial video that kind of shows you basically kind of how to use it. I
Yeah.
also know, David, you've connected with multiple people in there, and Anthony, you too. Like, when people reach out to you, like, what do you recommend when they send that initial, hey, I saw your profile. What are you looking for as a mentor in that message to like really help you connect with someone?
I look for, they describe what they're looking for. And so if I'm able to be that person and I can provide what they're looking for, if I can provide value, I will accept it, right? Like if we're a good match, I will accept it. So I think it's important to be as descriptive as possible in the synchronous. Like, what are you looking for? And get allowed to also see, can I add value on what this person is looking for? Because I think as a mentor, we don't want to be a mentor just to be a mentor. I think we want to provide value in the areas that we feel more comfortable in.
I agree. And this kind of goes back to the difference with like mentorship versus networking. I think sometimes some of the messages on Cronus are like, hey, just want to have a conversation about your experience, and it's not looking for like that long-term, few months long mentorship to help towards an actionable goal. So, and you can always like find that person on LinkedIn and have that conversation to just, hey, can I just grab 20-30 minutes and pick your brain a little bit about whatever topic. But I feel like if you're messaging on mentorship to find a mentor, you should be having the actual goals that you're working towards. Maybe the way that you think from reading the mentor's bio that you guys think that you would get along and have a good relationship. And that'll kind of give us as the mentors an idea of okay, this is how we can help and like Antonina said, add value.
I'll also give another little teaser that we are actually looking at some different platforms too. And so be watching for some different announcements about that and how SHIP can help with that. But that's a great question. So definitely hit me up and we can try to help you find someone to connect with. Who else? What other questions do you all have? I know we're a little bit over time. Yes, sending so many messages and not getting a response. And so Alyssa posted that in the chat. And so yes, just reach out to me. And I'll be really honest, right? No app is perfect. And so sometimes it could be that they're just not seeing your messages. So I can help with that too. So I'm gonna I know we are at time and I want to be respectful of people's time. So I'm just want to say we want to continue this conversation. We do have an event coming up for March where we're going to be talking about goal setting. And so watch for that. And I'm hopeful that I can get Antonia, David, and Carlos to engage in some more future events as well as we continue this series of navigating your mentorship connections and how do you do this. We do have a very short post-event survey. The QR code's here. When you close out of the Zoom meeting, it's going to pop up automatically for it. Please do this. This is kind of a new series for us, and we definitely need your feedback so we can keep improving this offering. And that there is the Zoom link to my schedule where you can schedule a one-on-one time that I can help you navigate the app or any questions that you have. I have the ability to look in and see, when is the last time that person, that mentor, that mentee actually logged onto the system. Maybe we should send them an email or a text message instead. Maybe that will be a more effective. So definitely reach out to me. I'd love to help you with those elements. And then I think what you've heard over and over from our panel members is that keep trying, keep that persistence. This process of being a mentor mentee is never complete. And I think all of them, correct me if I'm wrong, have said they are both mentees and mentors. That's never a box that we check off, that we're done with that mentee process. And so be ready to just kind of grow and learn in this. We're just so grateful for our panel members and their time tonight and all of you participating and your thoughtful questions and your vulnerability. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much. And I hope you all have a great night. And we'll look forward to connecting in a one-on-one meeting or at another event in the future. Thank you, panel members.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
for
Have a
letting
great
me.
evening. Thank you, Susan.
Bye.
Thank you.
David, Antonina. Until next time.
Yeah.